All right, future CPAs, welcome back to day number 3 of the 5-day Pass the CPA Exam Challenge. And so day 3 is all about grasping, understanding, retention, and more retention. So once you have crafted the perfect plan for your CPA exam journey and made this space in your schedule to follow it, it's time to learn how to study, how to use your CPA review course, and how to grasp what you learn and actually retain it just in time for exam day. So, day number three's agenda here. So, the curve of forgetting, it's inevitable. And this training is going to help you to invert the curve. And so, to tie all this together, we really need to do a quick recap of day 1 and 2. We're going to dig into the psychological events that can cause candidates to fail. We're going to discover what a study loop is, and then we're going to learn how to implement study loops with your course. So, we're going to be doing a live demo. And then finally, we're going to end by completing a study loop planner together for your next section. Okay, so let's kick off with a quick recap. And fun fact, if you missed the previous trainings, there is an easy access link below the video. So click those to take you back to day 1 or 2. And then otherwise, let's do a quick review. So in day 1, we learned that your mental mindset is the key to keep going when the going gets tough. So write down why you must become a CPA, write down the worst case scenario plans, write down your best case scenario plans, because when you have a plan, nothing is going to sidetrack you. Again, worst case scenario, if you fail, what are you going to do next? If you pass, what are you going to do next to stay focused and motivated so that you don't get lazy and so forth? So again, mental mindset is the key to passing the CPA exam, no matter where you are in your journey. So if you haven't done this yet, spend time focusing on it now. Next, we want to learn how to schedule a brand new section, and then worst case scenario, how do you schedule a retake? And so there's some really key differences you need to know, but the rule of thumb for brand new sections, if you're working full time, you're going to need around 8 to 12 weeks per section. For a retake section, again, plan around 4 to 8 weeks, depending on your score and the length of time since you sat for that section. And then finally, on day 1, we also created your 9-month plan to passing. So get these dates on the calendar, stick to them, and then also plan again for those worst case scenarios and best case scenarios. Okay, so on day number 2, we discussed once you have your plan, how do you actually make the time to stick to it? So we completed a life audit exercise and then went through the cheat sheet for how to find 20 hours per week to study, even if you're working full time. So again, the life audit, what is more important in your life than becoming a CPA? What's less important? And then what activities will you use as rewards for getting your studying done? So this is going to be how you determine what to put on your calendar, what to take off your calendar, and then what is the CPA exam study periods? What are those going to replace? And then if you are working 50 plus hours per week, you can make time to study. It's going to be hard, no joke, but you can do this. And again, we gave you that cheat sheet for how to accomplish this just by planning out every 15 minutes of your day to optimize it for studying. Okay, so now that you've got the plan on paper and we've made space on our calendar to actually study, how the heck should you actually study? No one talks about this in your CPA review course. It's really frustrating, right? So how do you ensure you aren't wasting your time? How do you know what's busy work and what isn't? Let me tell you a quick story about how I did the opposite of what you should do so that you can avoid making the same mistakes that I did that led to failure. So I'm going to be honest with you. I struggled to pass the CPA exam, and it was because I didn't know how to study. I didn't take the time to figure it out. So I just assumed the CPA exam was going to come naturally, like passing college exams were. But the reality was I created busy work for myself that led to me failing multiple times in a row, which led to me losing my first job during the Great Recession of 2009. And it was at this point, I was at a very crucial crossroads in my career. So I'd lost my first job, hadn't passed any sections of the CPA exam. Was I going to change everything about my life and give up on accounting and move into my parents' basement and become a lazy bum? Or was I going to buckle down and really figure this CPA exam thing out? So thank goodness I decided to try and figure out the CPA exam. And you might be surprised, but after dozens of hours of research and conversations, I discovered the truth that smart CPA candidates pass because they take the time to figure out how they learn best and create a personalized study system that maximizes their motivation, their time, learning strengths, and then work hard to leverage their relationships to keep them going no matter what happens. And it didn't seem to matter what study materials they were using. And it had everything to do with how they used the tools they had and how they leveraged their CPA exam support system. And it's definitely not by following the legacy big box CPA review courses, their one size fits all study and pray method that I was using to just shoot in the dark. That ultimately led me to failing multiple times in a row. So we want you to avoid following the study and pray method today. So fast forward a couple months after implementing all of this, I passed 2 sections of the CPA exam while I was unemployed, thanks to my new study system. And that was that. My life was changed forever because I took the time to actually think about how I was studying, cut out the fluff, and implemented a study system that worked. So one final point before we dive in, my entire career, heck, my life changed as a result of passing the CPA exam. And trust me, trust me, trust me, if I can do it, so can you. And again, it's all about creating your own personalized CPA study system and not about blindly following your big box CPA review course's generic advice on how to study. So check out Julio. He was one of my mentees and he recently passed. And I quote, he said, "Thank you, Brian. Your method is truly the way." So again, it's not about me. It's about the personalized study system and having someone to teach you the method to follow to get results. So are you ready to learn my proven method? Let's dive in to study looping. So the day I discovered this way of thinking about studying, it changed everything for me. So I finally had a step-by-step way of studying that helped me grasp what I learned, which not only helped me understand the material, but also retain it for several weeks right up until exam day. Does this sound too good to be true? Well, let's dig into the science behind it. So I've got a question for you. Have you ever had a friend ask you to grab something out of the other room and you acknowledge your friend? You understand what they're asking and know where the object is, but then you walk through a doorway and bam, you forget what you were doing. This is actually called the doorway effect, and it's a known psychological event where a person's memory declines when passing through a doorway, moving from one location to another when it would not if they had remained in the same place. So personally, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that this happens to. I thought I was going crazy every time that it happened. And another known psychological event is called the curve of forgetting. So anyone who sits for the CPA exam, even though they put in hundreds of hours of study time, has fallen prey to this. So the curve of forgetting describes how we retain or get rid of information that we take in. And so the longer a topic is not touched or reviewed, the more you forget. And there is one way to invert this curve of forgetting, and it's called CPA exam study looping. So it's a simple process that you must implement during the learning phase of studying. And so for the first several weeks of studying, you will have hundreds of light bulb moments as you learn new concepts. But no matter how confident you are in the moment, you will start forgetting the concepts over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And again, refer to the chart on the previous slide here. On day one, you'll fully grasp it. You'll feel super confident. But then day two, your retention of that material will decline. Day 7 declines even more. Day 30, it's almost fully gone, unless you are constantly looping back and reviewing this particular concept. So again, it just takes a few minutes every few days to retain that information. And this is why periodically throughout the week, you need to loop back and review everything that you've learned up to this point. And you really don't want to overcomplicate it. So again, just make flashcards over important concepts when you have that light bulb moment. Take practice quizzes periodically over everything to spot check, review your notes. And really, this is the key to creating a snowball effect. So the more you review, the more you invert the curve of forgetting and the stronger your grasp on the material will be. And basically, this will create a less stressful final review phase as you approach your exam date, because you should have a fairly strong understanding of the material that you have retained up to this point. So let me give you a quick demo of Kessler CPA Review to show you how this works inside of our platform so that you can then apply it to whatever study materials you might be using as well. All right, welcome to Kessler CPA Review. So within Kessler CPA Review, there are a few core products that I want to highlight today. So the first one is going to be our mentorship program. That is Ultimate CPA Exam Guide Method. So essentially, the goal of Ultimate CPA Exam Guide is to teach you how to pass, regardless of the study materials that you're using. So In terms of study loops, we actually have dedicated training for how to implement study loops. So just a core philosophy training first. Then we'll give you some best practices for how to implement study loops with Kessler CPA review. And then we'll teach you how to implement study loops with each unique big box CPA review course that is out there. And so this way you have full coverage over everything that you possibly need to know about the technology inside of these courses, how to use their analytics, how to cut the fluff. So we call these fluff cutter tutorials. So it's going to be extremely valuable for you because again, the big box courses, for whatever reason, they don't teach you how to use their own platform. So I've done all the hard work, figured out the technology. I've worked with students who are using these courses to give you the insight that you need to really save a lot of time and use these platforms more efficiently. And so when it comes to implementing study loops, this is where the power of Kessler CPA review comes in. So you can do it manually with your big box course, or you can use Kessler CPA review's study plan. So this is the Kessler CPA review dashboard. We have a mobile app that is available and it's the same functionality. So you can go at lunch, study on your mobile, come home, open up your computer, and everything will sync together and you'll be picking up exactly where you left off on your mobile. So it's super powerful, but it gets even more powerful when you open up the study planner. So you'll notice here that we have a study looping plan and then a study funnel adaptive plan. So we'll be covering the study funnel adaptive plan here in the next challenge video. But what you need to know for now is that when you have an exam date set, so let's assume that February 28th is my exam date. So let's set our study looping plan to end 10 days prior to the exam, which would be around the 16th. So our goal is to complete the learning phase on the 16th and then leave around 10 to 14 days for final review before our exam date. So you set this deadline, then dynamically it automatically updates your to-do list. So we call them looping points. So for today's looping goal, we have 35 minutes worth of content to go into, which will then be digging into the blueprints themselves. So you've got this and it will assign you 11 questions to complete. And so this is our test bank here. So you can rate your confidence levels on each question. And this just feeds data to the platform. It's totally optional, but it's a useful tool to rate your confidence. And then you can look at all the questions that you've rated low, medium, and high and dig into those questions later. And so we'll go through there and continue on. And we'll just answer a few more and then go out and just review our results. Okay, so we're done practicing. Okay, so now we can review all the questions. So this allows you to quickly go through and review. So again, part of the study looping phase process is to not only go through questions, but then to also dig into the why. So we really want to start focusing in on why we got this question incorrect, why we got this question correct. Make sure we understand the why. And if we don't, then it's time to leave a to-do list item. So we'll say, hey, we want to dig into this question, not 100% sure why I got it right. And then you can add it to the list there. So you can also bookmark this question if you want to come back to it later. You can highlight specific phrases or anything. We also have a Kessler card creator. So if you find something that really is a light bulb moment for you, I highly recommend creating a separate tab. And while you're studying period, keep this tab open. So we've got a study looping set here. So I would recommend going in here. And then here's the back of the card and front of card. Then you can save the card. And boom, you've got your own brand new flashcard that is available for you to study at any time. So there it is. Boom. So highly recommend just keeping this tab open at any time while you're studying, regardless of the course you're using, just to create your own study material so that you can really dig into things. Okay, so then as you're going through the review process, I highly recommend that you use the notes as a to-do list. So basically, this is going to be the first item on your to-do list. So you don't have time to review everything right away. So you want to keep track, create like a a weakness list. And so using these digital notes, it's a great way to do that. So if you're finding a specific area, and again, it ties right to the blueprint. So area 1, section A, this particular area, you have this particular question, then you can actually dig into the question immediately and do additional research. And then once you've done the research, then you can just clear it out and then it's off your to-do list. And so there is a really streamlined process into how to use Kessler CPA Review and all the digital studying tools and organization to really create to-do lists, keep you organized with whatever CPA Review course that you might be using. And so we also have mappings. So if there is a big box course that you're using that doesn't quite follow the AI CPA blueprint. So as you can see here, we're area 1 of the blueprints, area 2 of the blueprints, area 3, and so forth. Not all CPA review courses follow the same order. So we do have mappings. So say you're in another course and you complete chapter 1, and chapter 1 covers, for whatever reason, maybe it covers investments and cash equivalents. So when you come in to do a study loop, and what's cool is that we'll recommend when to do study loops. So directly in the study planner, we'll be like, all right, it's time to do a study loop. And then we'll give you instructions on what to accomplish. So if you're using Kessler CPA as fresh questions, you can go in and do custom practice. And this is where things get really powerful. So say you're using a different course and you know that you need to review intangible assets, goodwill, and trade receivables. So if you're just starting out, you probably don't want to answer expert and difficult questions. So let's just get rid of all those questions and then only focus on the easy and moderate. Because again, when you first start studying a particular topic, you're not going to have it mastered. It's only after repeat review that you're going to start to master things. So we'll want to start with easy to moderate. And then you can create a custom quiz, untimed study mode, and start practice. And boom, it pulls in 14 questions from those specific areas on the blueprints. And then you can go through and review those particular areas. And it's super powerful. Okay, and so that is just one way how you can use Kessler CPA in conjunction with the big box course. Obviously, if you're only using Kessler CPA along with a textbook or something along those lines, you can just follow our study plan and it will walk you through the entire blueprints and then also give you notifications for doing study looping. And then obviously periodically every night, I would recommend going through our flashcards as well. So we have flashcards by AI CPA blueprint area that you can dig into. We've got gem cards, we got sim cards, we got calc cards, a super powerful way to quickly go through and learn new content and also review it. Okay, so I think that about covers the study looping process for now. So again, this study plan, it's got study looping built into the whole process. You can dig into whatever you need to. You can map it to any CPA review course that you might be using and utilize it hand in hand. Hopefully this gives you a good overview. Let's get back to the slides. Okay, so at this point, you really have two options here. So you can sign up for a 14-day trial of Kessler CPA Review and use our automated study looping planner like I showed you in the demo. Or you can manually create your own using the day 3 worksheet that is linked below this video. So if you opt for the manual planner, here's what I suggest. So take your CPA review courses, generic study planner, put it into a spreadsheet, and then use my study loop planner here and add in specific review tasks to complete on a daily basis. So yes, it's a bit more work, but again, the curve of forgetting is coming for you. So don't let it win. You need to use study looping to invert that curve of forgetting. All right, my friends. So what's coming up next? And then the next step in your journey begins on day number 4. So in day number 4, we're going to learn how to tie everything that you've learned together just in time to pass. So at this point, you've executed on your perfect plan. You've hit your study milestones and completed the learning phase of your studying process. So what do you do in those final 10 to 14 days before your exam to tie everything together? Watch your inbox, email inbox for day number 4 announcement. Or you can skip to the bottom of the page and take a sneak peek at day number 4 if you're super motivated. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed learning about study loops. They transformed my life. They transformed how I tackle studying and learning. So I really hope that you can start executing on this game-changing study method. With that being said, I'll catch up with you in the next training.